Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we are going to be doing a will I buy it. I think it's going to be a will I buy it. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of new holiday 2018 releases, what my thoughts are, what my opinions are, and whether or not I will be picking up these products. I have filmed two of these that I have not even gotten a chance to edit because I feel like makeup products are coming out so fast that by the time I get the chance to edit the first video, those makeup products are already like old news. I mean, makeup is just dropping so quick, whether it's holiday, whether it's permanent stuff in makeup brands lines, it's a lot. And as consumers, we have to take the moment to really sit down and kind of decide what is going to fit our needs and what is not, what we're most excited about and what we're not. And I'm going to also do a skincare version of this because there are so many skincare sets out right now that absolutely look amazing that I want, that I'm kind of like, but do I like need, you know? So if you're interested in all of the things that I am considering as of right now for holiday 2018, there might be a couple of things thrown in here that are just permanent items or not related to holiday at all, but I just want to like talk about them before they're yesterday's news because that is kind of what's happening. So yeah, you guys, if you're interested in all of the different holiday releases, what I will be picking up and reviewing on my channel, because even though it is only October 2nd, so even though we still have over 2 months until like the holiday season like really kind of starts, makeup brands start releasing their holiday stuff in September. So in the makeup world, we're already in it. Like we're deep in holiday season. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this week's will I buy it? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the first product. It actually just officially launched today, October 2nd, and it is the new Natasha Denona Gold Palette. It does retail for $129, and I believe it does have the standard 15 different eyeshadows that Natasha Denona palettes that we tend to expect from the full-size Natasha Denona palettes now. It is available on Beautylish, and it is available on Natasha Denona's website as well as Sephora. Again, it retails for $129. If you are familiar with my channel, you know my love affair with Natasha Denona. I did skip out on the Safari palette. I have not made up my mind. I keep going back and forth on whether or not I'm actually going to buy that palette. I think I'm going to skip on the Safari palette, but I will be purchasing the gold palette. Now, I don't mind golds on my eyes. I tend to prefer a little bit more of like a bronzy or champagne, but this palette looks absolutely stunning. So again, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit more consistent with her Lila palette, with her Sunset palette. I didn't mind the Tropics palette. Like I'm kind of like on the Tropics palette. I didn't think it was bad, but it definitely wasn't as good as like the other three palettes, the Star, the Lila, and the Sunset palette. Do I have another Natasha Denona palette? No, I don't. I think that's it. So I am going to go ahead and pick this up. I went to go order it from Beautylish, but it's showing back ordered, so I think I'm going to have to pick it up directly from Sephora. Now, a lot of the comments that I see when it comes to this palette is how many golds does one person need? Like swatch them next to each other and it's all going to be the same. But I saw a video on Natasha Denona's Instagram, and the golds are significantly different. Now, do I think that they're going to be so astoundingly different when you kind of put them on the eye, or are they going to be pretty similar? I think that they probably are gonna be pretty similar, but I don't care. I'm gonna buy it because I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and it does have a couple of like more blue turquoisey colors thrown in the mix, and I think that our blues and yellows and golds like complementary colors, so I think that even those colors are beautiful to put on the lower lash line. I think it would be just stunning. You have your staple browns in there. I don't know, I'm excited about it. I'm eager to try this palette out, and I've been like counting my pennies like, okay, 128, 129, yes, I can buy it. So this is definitely going on the wish list. This is definitely a product that you will be seeing reviewed this holiday season. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it is the Natasha Denona formulation that we have come to love and like enjoy, as opposed to her kind of playing with things and kind of like, I guess, trying to figure her brand out. When you're charging this much money, stick with what you know. It looks beautiful. The swatches look amazing. I'm getting it. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the new Makeup Forever eyeshadow palette that is for holiday 2018. It is called Life is a Stage, and I am interested in this palette, but I'm going to be completely honest. I know that I just said that I'm okay buying a $129 Natasha Denona palette, but Makeup Forever is pretty expensive as well. So, you know, and I have to budget and I have to really think about the things that I know that I'm going to want. but I have interest in this palette. I do want to see the price of it first, because if it's like $200, which I would not be surprised by, I'm probably gonna have to say, you know what, Makeup Forever, you know. So I'm really gonna have to see what the price is. I saw some of the comments in on the original post saying that it was giving people Urban Decay Born to Run vibes, which I could potentially see that, especially with a couple of the different shades in here. But I think that this vibrant orangey red is beautiful. I don't even know if I would ever actually wear that on my eyeballs, but it's gorgeous. And I think that, yes, it does have some similarities to the Born This Run palette, but I do think that there are a bunch of different shades in here as well, because it looks like it has 30 eyeshadows in here, which is going to be expensive. Makeup Forever eyeshadows used to be, like, their palettes used to be things that I picked up every holiday season. I purchased the one last year, wasn't the biggest fan of it, and returned it, but I think that that one was only 40 bucks. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a little bit more to their true original formulation, because their eyeshadows are really, 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 really great. And this will be a good way to kind of get pretty much every shadow that you would need. You have your pops of colors, and I just keep staring at that red. You have your pops of colors, you've got blues, you've got every crease shade that you could possibly ever need. You have greens, you have blacks, you have grays. I mean, all in all, this palette looks super, super promising, but I really want to see the price on it first. So I'm kind of leaving that in like the maybe possibly, like, if it won't break the bank kind of situation. But I mean, all in all, I do think it looks really, really nice. The next thing that I will be talking about is the Kat Von D, what is it called? I think it's the Fetish collection, so I'm assuming it's the Fetish eyeshadow palette and the Fetish highlighter palette. The eyeshadow palette retails for $63, and I just want to say that I am passing on both. I almost came so close to picking this up for review purposes, and then I just kind of decided not to, because I just think for $63, I think it looks underwhelming. The thing that Kat Von D has always gotten me in the past with her holiday palettes is the packaging, and I feel like even the packaging on here is not super exciting. So I think it's kind of like bland, it's kind of boring, and I think that these are definitely all colors that we've seen from Kat Von D in the past. No, I'm not picking this up. It has nothing to do with, you know, me boycotting the brand or anything that she has going on in her personal life. I just think that this is just a really, really typical release for her. And even though I tend to buy her holiday palettes every year, I almost never reach for them. So I'm trying to be a little bit of a smarter consumer and tell myself or think about what I'm actually going to use versus what I'm just buying to maybe review and talk about for you guys. I know a bunch of y'all are over Kat Von D and don't give two craps about her makeup or her makeup releases. So that made it even easier for me to kind of just pass over it. I know a lot of people were kind of like, what is she doing with the names? The names, you know, there's names in here: stiletto, submissive, bondage, fixation, corset, sex, blindfold, safe word, S&M, kink, rope. So I think some people were like, was Kat Von D watching 50 Shades of Grey a little too much when she decided to curate this palette? So I don't know, while some of the colors look really pretty, like that shade Dominatrix looks really, really nice, and I feel like it's something that I would wear a lot. And I do think, I will say this, that the tones in here, while they kind of remind me of last year's palette, I feel like they seem a little bit more wearable than last year's palette. So I almost bit the bullet on this, and maybe if it goes on sale, because we all be knowing that Kat Von D goes on sale, I might pick it up. And if it probably had been a little bit of a cheaper price point, like the Too Faced palette, the Tarte palette, a bunch of other holiday palettes that are in the $60 price range, come with so much other stuff. This is $63 just for an eyeshadow palette, and no ma'am, we're not doing it. So I think as of right now, this is going to be a hard pass for me. Don't come for me if I change my mind, or if enough of you want me to review it, I might review it, but it's something that I personally don't have any interest in. The next thing that I want to talk about is by Huda Beauty. And the reveal of this palette just launched yesterday, I believe, from when I'm actually filming this. This is her new, what is it called? The Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. And just like all of her other eyeshadow palettes, it is going to retail for $65. It has the standard 18 shades that all of her other palettes have. Now, I actually have been somebody who does actually like Huda Beauty eyeshadows. I keep meaning to buy some of her smaller palettes to try those out, but I own both of her larger palettes. I do prefer the Desert Dust to her original palette, but I didn't mind her original palette either. The thing, I'm drawn to this, but I'm kind of like, I feel like it's really, really, really pretty and really wearable, and I do think it's one of those palettes that I would probably reach for a lot, because it's a nude palette. It's an every single day nude palette, but it's an every single day nude palette for $65. Here is what kind of concerns me about Huda Beauty and whether or not I would purchase this. And I did not mention it. It will be available November 1st on Sephora's website. She likes to play with new formulations and try new formulations and different eyeshadows that have never been seen before. She did that with her original palette, and I feel like it kind of flopped a little bit, and she's kind of doing the same thing with this palette again. There's these shadows in here, and I'll put a picture up, but they look super chunky. Like they look like they would just literally fall over your face the second that you try to apply them. While I know that this is a palette that I would get a ton of use out of, and I actually like the stuff that I've tried from the brand so far as her eyeshadow palette. I mean, I've only tried the two, but I think that they've been really, really nice, and I haven't been disappointed. And I know that this is a palette that I would wear a lot. I'm just really concerned about those more chunkier, thicker eyeshadow palettes. I know she likes to put pressed glitters in her eyeshadow palettes. Huda, just give us like a normal eyeshadow palette with normal eyeshadows and let us live, because the last thing I want is to spend $65 on an eyeshadow palette because she wants to do something a little bit unique, which I commend her for, you know, trying to come out with different formulations, more exciting things that aren't on the market before, but then have me buy the palette and then a year from now say, oh, okay, you guys, I understand what you were saying, I'm gonna remaster it. Like that has me feeling some type of ways. So I don't know, this is in the maybe pile. I do think that her palettes are significantly overpriced. I don't think that even though I like them, I think 65 bucks, I don't think any of her palettes should be over 50. Personally, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's on my radar, so it's definitely something that I have my eye out on. Maybe it's gonna be one of those palettes I go in store and swatch, because while I think it's pretty, it definitely isn't anything unique. To her brand, sure, because her other palettes were extremely more on the warm tone side, whereas this palette does definitely lean a little bit more, like, from what I can see, like true neutral shades. So we'll definitely have to see about that one. I have my eye on it, but I haven't officially made up my mind. I have a month to decide because it does not launch until November 1st. Which the next thing I'm going to go ahead and talk about, which is something that nobody asked for. I got suckered into it last year, not getting suckered into it this year. The new Lancome official highlighter, rose highlighter. This one is going to come in like a more gold, whereas the last one was a little bit more on the pink side. And that was the biggest waste of money, if ever was there a waste of money. I think that the packaging is really pretty. I think it's a really pretty display piece, but they got my money once. They're not getting my money again. I think that this is kind of a silly situation. You get almost no product for the amount of money that they charge for this. There's no price on this one, but if I remember correctly, the one that they released last year in the pink packaging was like 60 bucks, and they got me once, like I already said, so we can move on. I'm not buying that. The next thing that I want to go ahead and mention, which I don't think is a holiday release, I think it is part of their permanent line, and I wanted to just go ahead and touch on it really quickly because it actually just launched today, I believe, on Ulta's website, and it launches on October 5th on Sephora's website, and it's already available on the Urban Decay website. This is the Urban Decay Naked Cherry eyeshadow palette. It does retail for $49. It does come in the standard Naked series, like Naked lineup, with 12 different eyeshadow, which you get your 12 different eyeshadows. Their normal Naked eyeshadows retail for $54, so this palette is actually a couple of dollars cheaper. You get the standard brush in here as well. Now, the one thing about the Naked palettes that you have to keep in mind, as opposed to, say, the Born to Run palette, the Naked palettes give you like one specific kind of color story, and it kind of runs from light to like dark, and like you get your lighter mattes to your deeper mattes, but it's all the same color story, whereas something like the Born to Run palette can take you very far. It's very versatile. So when it comes to palettes like this, you really have to like the colors that are being displayed. And I typically do, I mean, this is very similar to the look that I have on my eyes today. I like purples, I like cranberry on my eyes. I feel like it brings out the slight hint of green that's in my brown eyes. Whenever I wear purples or cranberries, I feel like it makes my eyes really pop. So I really do enjoy wearing colors like that on my eyes. I'm an avid Urban Decay fan. I tend to I don't buy a lot of their eyeshadow palettes unless it's in like the Naked kind of style, because they are a brand, unfortunately, that can be very hit and miss. Now, I will go ahead and pick this up. I actually am planning on purchasing it right now or today, because I think, like I mentioned, I think it's a point perk on Ulta's website right now. I think I got that email today. So I think I can go, or a platinum perk. So I think I can go ahead and pick that up right now. So I will go ahead and be purchasing this. Again, this is not a holiday thing, but I figured it's still kind of relevant enough to talk about right now. So we're gonna go ahead and scooch it in this video. The next thing that I want to mention, which is also not a holiday release, but I do want to go ahead and pick up as well, is the Desi X Katie Friendcation eyeshadow palette. I just like them, and I think that, you know, I want to support them. I tend to always pick up YouTuber brands or YouTuber collaborations because I like to test them and kind of give you guys my reviews on them and whether or not I think that they're any good. I do think that this palette is a better release than the last palette because the last palette was not a standalone palette, and you know, you had to kind of work with that palette a little bit more, even though I think I actually liked it. I haven't reached for it in a while. I do remember liking it. And even though that this palette is 55 bucks, and I know a lot of people were like trying to come for Dose of Colors, like, who do you are charging $55 for an eyeshadow palette? All of their eyeshadow palettes are at or around the same price point. The I Love Sarai E palette, I was like, what, 35 bucks for 4 eyeshadows or 6 eyeshadows? So 55 bucks for 10 doesn't seem as too dramatic for me. I just think all in all, makeup is just starting to just creep up there in price. I feel like everything is getting too expensive at this point, but I do want to go ahead and pick it up. The main reason I want to pick it up is because the shimmer metallics in that palette kind of reminds me of the Block Party eyeshadow palette, or the single eyeshadows, and those retail for $20 a piece, and I wanted to buy those so bad. I've gone to Ulta so many times, swatched them, wanted to buy them, and then not pick them up because you buy 2 and you've already bought an eyeshadow, you've already spent the money on an eyeshadow palette. So I feel like I'm hoping that these eyeshadows are going to be really, really similar to the Block Party, which I kind of think I've heard that they are, so that way I can get a couple of those high shine, high intense, like beautiful saturated colors for $55 in an everyday wearable palette that I would probably reach for a lot. So I probably will go ahead and pick that up at some point. One palette that I think that I will be passing on. Now, the collector in me, the brand loyalist in me, kind of wants to just pick it up for the reason that, again, I tend to buy everything from this brand because all in all, I think that it's a very successful brand and the products that they put out tend to be really good. They carry some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, palettes like tried and true palettes that I can reach for all of the time and never question and never wonder about. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills. Is it the Sultry palette? Is that what it's called? Yeah, the Sultry palette is going to retail for the standard $45 like all of Anastasia's eyeshadow palettes. The one thing that I'm excited about is they changed up the packaging a little bit. It is not that normal felty eyeshadow palette packaging, which I know that that's not a super, I know that that's kind of silly to be excited about, but all of their palettes have been the same since the beginning of time, except for their original like collaborations with Dress Your Face and Amrezi, those, and Maya Mia, is that her name? Those palettes were different, like they were different layouts, but all of her permanent, like all of her permanent eyeshadow palettes, they all have the same packaging, just in different colors. While I thought about picking this palette up, the swatches on here are so ridiculous, they don't even look real. While I thought about picking this up, and I probably would get a ton of use out of it, I just think that there are other eyeshadow palettes on the market or that are coming out that have kind of sparked my interest a little bit more. And if I'm going to spend $129 on a Natasha Denona palette, I'm also waiting for the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette to come back in stock on Sephora. So if I'm going to be spending money on high dollar palettes like that, or even the Huda Beauty palette, there's going to be a few palettes that are going to have to get the axe. And while one thing that I do like about this palette is it does have a mixture of cool tones and warm tones, or cool tones, and it does have some more true neutral, like neutral, not neutral warm, but like neutral shades in here. And I do actually like that. And I do think that this is a palette where I would wear every single color in here, but I just don't need it. Now, if I change my mind, I change my mind, but I just don't see myself picking this up. When is it going to be available? It's going to be available on October 9th. Lord be with me, because on October 9th I might be on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, like, give it to me now. But I don't think so. Like, there's other palettes on the market that are just exciting me a lot more, that I feel confident or okay enough that I won't regret not purchasing this. Like, you know, this time next year I won't be having FOMO for not buying this palette. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm confident enough in saying that this is going to be a pass. While I did want it, I'm not gonna buy it. There's so much more stuff on here that I want to talk about, like so much more. I'm gonna just have to try my best to get these videos out weekly because it's a lot. Ooh, what do y'all think about this that just dropped on Trend Mood's Instagram page? The new Fenty Beauty highlighter palette. I'm gonna have to see swatches on this. I was reading comments, a bunch of people were like, no, absolutely not. Who needs that in an eyeshadow palette? It is not an eyeshadow palette, it's a highlighter palette. And some of these, the thing is, I really do enjoy Huda Beauty. I really do enjoy Fenty Beauty's highlighters, but I just feel like their thing when it comes to highlighters now is becoming like colors that are like a little bit more not necessarily wearable. And you know, or I'm gonna have to wear it as an eyeshadow. Well, if I wanted an eyeshadow, I would buy an eyeshadow. This looks fun, but I feel like I'm gonna have to see them swatched, because if they apply with the pigmentation that they're showing right now, I can't wear that as a highlighter. Like these two shades, like just by looking at it, there's only two shades in here that I would probably be able to wear on the tops of my cheekbones, and everything else looks too dark. But again, they could be sheerer, you know, once you apply them to the tops of the cheekbones, they could be a very sheer wash of color, which when it comes to Fenty Beauty, I highly doubt. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be very saturated and high in pigment. There's not a lot of information on this, so I'm probably gonna update you guys on this a little bit later, but I just kind of wanted to throw it out there. I mean, it looks fun and it looks exciting, but it's one of those products that I would buy just to buy and know that I'm not gonna use. So I'm just kind of putting it out there. If y'all saw Trend Mood's Instagram, what do y'all think about this? Because I know a lot of people were saying eyeshadow palette. It is not. It's a highlighter palette. Let me know if y'all have interested in it, like, or if your curiosity is piqued, but you're just kind of waiting for more swatches or more pictures to come out. But they do have me intrigued, so I'll probably have to update you guys on this one in another Will I Buy It, which I'm gonna try to get these out weekly, but they, like I said, they just are releasing so much makeup that it just becomes yesterday's makeup by the time I get a chance to edit any of this stuff. So yeah, you guys, that is everything that I'm going to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section below how you what you plan on buying, what you plan on skipping out this holiday season. Do you agree with what I've said, or are there things that I'm not buying that you're like, no, absolutely 100% gonna buy? I would be curious. Let me know in the comments down below what you would like to see next reviewed here on my channel. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.